Hey guys, so Microsoft has finally taken over Nokia, so there is no Nokia Lumia right now. Microsoft Lumia really, and the first handset by Microsoft Lumia per se was released yesterday, and we'll talk about the brand new Microsoft Lumia 535. And I'll give you my impressions of how that handset will turn out to be when it reaches here in India, if at all, and whether that actually deserves your attention from now or even at the time when it will go on sale. So let's get started. So let's first take a satellite view of the phone out here, what we have overall. So it's not radically different from the 530, which was running Windows 8.1. This guy has a 5-inch screen, so we're looking at a very terrible resolution, 540 by 960 pixels of resolution. That comes to less than 300 ppi of color density, but you have Gorilla Glass 3 protection. Apart from that, it has a 5MP autofocus back camera and a 5MP front camera, which is one of the USP of the 535. Microsoft positioned it as a selfie camera, at least a camera which can do a really good selfie. You have a 5MP front camera, but I suppose it's a fixed focus. I'm not sure yet, but it could just be a fixed focus, and there is no flash in the front. Then you have a Snapdragon 200 1.2 gig quad-core CPU. Well, that's pretty usual, and that's pretty usual for an entry-level device these days. You have only 1 GB of RAM, which should be enough for the proprietary Windows Phone 8.1 that's running on this device. You have 8.8 mm of thickness, so definitely Microsoft is in no mood to slim down the Lumia devices anytime soon. You also have vibrant back colors. There will be multiple colors, I guess. It will be available in blue, white, green, black, orange and grey. See, multiple colors. You can also remove the back, so you can literally swap the backs according to your mood, according to your clothes, to match the phone, go with your clothing and mood. You have 8 GB of internal memory, but it supports micro SD card of up to 128 GB, which is really cool. And then you also have dual SIM, of course, and then it runs on 1905 mAh battery, which should give it quite a bit of battery life juice, mainly thanks to the very low resolution screen. So it should take you through the day quite comfortably. It's priced at 110 euros, which translates to about $135, and in Indian rupees it will translate to just over 8,000 rupees. Now we're going to compare those according to the price later on. Let's take a deep dive into the spec sheet right now and see what this guy has in store for us. So the 535 almost looks like the 530. We have a very glossy front screen, as I told you, 5-inch screen, 540 by 960 pixel of resolution, which actually should be quite okay when you look at the Windows Phone 8.1 interface, because mainly because of the black background. If you keep it in white or black, the icons are also very light faced. The color on the icons are generally very light, they're not very deep, so even on a low resolution they actually look quite okay. The only thing would come when you're looking at a photo and a video from a really close angle. So that's going to make a difference, but it's okay for an entry-level phone, depending on how it fares compared to some other devices that we're going to compare later. And then you have Gorilla Glass protection, which is a good thing. Nokia generally, or now Microsoft in fact, generally tries to put these things. So 8.8 mm thickness. You also have 146 gram, which is definitely not lightweight, but it's a 5-inch device, so that's kind of okay. 5-inch, very fat device. Lots of colors. You can remove the back panel, and front size. On top you have the 5MP front camera, no flash, as I told you before, earpiece and your sensors. Below you would have the typical 3 Windows shortcut keys on the screen. Left side there is nothing. Below there is a micro USB port and your mouthpiece. On the right side you would have the volume rocker and the power button, and on top you have the audio jack. Behind you will have the 5MP autofocus main camera. The camera is accompanied by a flash, a single flash, and then possibly the biggest difference you will notice from the 530 it's written Microsoft and not Nokia Lumia. It's Microsoft Lumia, or Microsoft basically, not Lumia. And below you will have the speaker grills. So that's about the controls and design part of the phone. You can of course remove the back cover, and to remove both the SIMs you will need to remove the 1905 mAh battery. Inside, the phone is powered by Snapdragon 200 1.2 gig quad core CPU, 1 GB of RAM. It also has 8 GB of ROM, and of course micro SD card supported till 128 GB. Apart from that, you have that 5 MP main camera, which I guess records at HD. I'm not totally sure about that, but it runs on Windows Phone 8.1, and it will come with Lumia Denim update out of box. Now what is this? Now Lumia, the Denim update was announced by Microsoft during IFA 2014, and it was supposed to come on the 730, 830 and I guess 735 by the end of this year, but the 535 will already carry it. Lumia Denim's biggest improvement are in the camera section. So now you'll have much lag. You're supposed to have much less lag between your shots while you're clicking still images. You also will have, I guess, rich capture ability, which says that you can now capture HDR, and you can also now capture dynamic flash. So dynamic flash, I don't know what that is, you'll have to see. You now also could have an option of clicking first and then editing the picture. Maybe that means you can just maybe defocus the background, among other new features. It also says that you can now straight away start recording 4K video if your device supports 4K video, just by tapping the shutter release button, and then keep on pressing it. So you don't have to go to a different video button. That's how it's supposed to be. We'll have to see how it is. The 535, I'm sure the 535 does not support 4K video, but if it supports, let's say on the high-end devices, then it will be possible to record 4K video, and that too at 24 FPS, which is really cool. See, generally all the smartphones, the Android smartphones, are having 4K video at 15 FPS. So 4K video at 24 FPS should be quite a breeze. Apart from that, also you would have Cortana. Always on Cortana should be with the Lumia Denim. That could be another great thing. Now I suppose what Microsoft calls passive listening Cortana. Now I suppose it's something like the OK Google feature on the Moto X, where one mic is always on, so that even if the phone is in the sleep mode, you can just call the voice assistant and she's gonna wake up. However, sadly, I don't think Cortana would be available in India anytime soon. Now, you might have that feature out there. We'll have to still see whether Cortana will listen to us here in India. The spec sheet also says that the 5 MP back camera will have 1.4 inch, pretty small sensor size. It will have 28 mm lens, and then the minimum focus distance should be 10 centimeters, so no macro shot, sorry guys. The front camera, the front 5 MP camera would be a 24 mm lens, and both of these cameras maximum aperture will be f by 2.4. So I don't see any specification, any specific feature that will aid your selfie apart from a boost in the number of megapixels really out there. We'll have to see if the front camera is autofocus. If it's autofocus, then that should really help in selfies, because generally there are more movement when you take a selfie than when you take it with a back camera. So overall, I guess it's a pretty good entry-level device, I would say. And Microsoft now officially promises that the 535, at least in near future, will always get the latest Microsoft updates. So now it's with Microsoft and not with Nokia, so we know that there is nothing in between to get the update for the device, just like Google and Nexus. You see, there's nothing in between, so the Nexus devices always get the latest update. So Microsoft officially promises. So that, guys, that's overall the phone. It looks quite cool to me, but how does it fare to some of the other devices at this price point? As I told you, 110 euros will translate to just over 8,000 Indian rupees. And definitely it's not gonna be cheaper than that here in India. So definitely we are looking at least 8,500 to 9,000 price bracket. At least I'm saying, because we'll have to calculate the taxes and custom duties and all. So 8 to 9k, let's say. So at this price point, it goes into very deep and aggressive territory of three main devices which have been very widely popular with the customers really. Number one is the Xiaomi Redmi 1S, which costs much less than this one at about 6,000. And then two 7K devices, the Huawei Honor Holly and the Motorola Moto E, that almost gave the Motorola a new lease of life. So let's look at some quick comparison charts out here. How does it compare to all those? Yeah, the 535 comes with this 5-inch screen, 540 by 960 pixels and Gorilla Glass 3 protection. The Redmi 1S has a 4.7-inch screen, HD resolution. The Moto E has a 4.3-inch screen, the same resolution as the 535, and the Honor Holly has a 5-inch screen with an HD resolution. So the Honor Holly clearly wins out there if you like better screen and also better resolution, of course. But the PPI on the Redmi 1S, the color density would be better. Apart from that, the 535 is powered by Snapdragon 200 chipset with a 1.2 gig quad core CPU, 1 GB of RAM. The same goes with the Moto E, but the Honor Holly is powered by a MediaTek 6582 chipset which has 1.3 gig quad core processor. There won't be much of a power difference between the two, by the way, mind you. The Redmi 1S clearly wins here because it has the upgraded Snapdragon 400 processor which has 4 cores running at 1.6 gig clock speed. So the Redmi 1 is clearly faster, and we've seen that during our review of all these three devices also. Redmi 1S is actually clearly a winner. All the 4 have 1 GB of RAM. However, the Honor Holly has 16 GB of internal memory. The Moto E has only 4, and rest of these two devices, the 535 and the Redmi 1S has 8 GB of RAM. All of these support microSD card, of course. The Redmi 1S, however, supports up to 64 GB, and then the 535 will support up to 128 GB, or does Microsoft promises really. The other two devices up to 32 GB. So you have to take a call. I think Honor Holly, it's always the flash memory is always better. Honor Holly has 16 GB of internal memory, which clearly wins out there. The USP of the 535 is its 5 MP front camera, which it says would be great for selfie. The Moto E does not even have a front camera, guys. The Redmi 1S have a 1.6 MP front camera, and the Honor Holly has a 2 MP front camera, which are quite usual for this price point for a front camera. The back cameras, there's a difference though. The 535 has a 5 MP camera, autofocus. The Moto E also has a 5 MP camera, but that's a fixed focus camera, mind you. That's a big deal. Autofocus camera, the autofocus really is necessary, where you do not have lenses that can come out and go. The Redmi 1 has an 8 MP camera as well as the Honor Holly, and all these are autofocus cameras except the Moto E, as I told you before. All of the other three devices have slightly more capacity of battery than the 535's 1905 mAh battery. So your Honor Holly and the Redmi 1S both have 2000 mAh battery. The Moto E has a 1980 mAh battery, but trust me, there's not gonna be much difference in the battery life, because mainly you know how Android integrates with the hardware. Not very good, at least not better than Windows Phone, how Windows Phone does with its hardware. Plus Windows Phone background and the fonts and all the color distribution, everything actually helps the battery life. So I guess 1905 mAh battery on the 535 should perform at least same to the 2000 mAh battery of the Redmi 1S or the Honor Holly, if not more. Ultimately, it's not much of a comparison, but the 535 runs on the latest Windows Phone 8.1 and Lumia Denim update. All the other three devices runs on Android KitKat, but a variety of versions. Someone has 4.4.4, the Moto E for example. The others have 4.4.2 right now. They could get 4.4.4, but we are not sure. But of course, because Microsoft now has Lumia, so at least you're sure that in future, if you love Windows Phone, that is, you are definite to get the latest updates. Not sure for the other three devices. So that's about the overall comparison. So out of these four devices, I would say for some the Huawei Honor Holly matters, for others the Redmi 1S matters. The Redmi 1S is 1000 rupees cheaper than the Honor Holly, but the Honor Holly has two things mainly going for it. One, the internal memory is 16 GB, the 5-inch screen as well, by the way, and then Honor Holly is much more easily available than the Redmi 1S. 535, well, it does not exactly go up to the stage of these two devices. However,